Have you ever wondered why an eagle, capable of diving at nearly 200 miles an hour, will sometimes turn and flee from a bird one-tenth its size? It seems almost absurd. Apex predators are built to kill. Talons like scalpels, eyes that can spot a mouse from 1,000 feet, instincts sharpened by millions of years of evolution. And yet, again and again across forests and farmlands and city skylines, these same predators are chased, harassed, and driven from the sky by crows. At first glance, it looks like nature playing a joke on itself. But the truth is stranger and far more revealing about what real power actually means in the animal kingdom. It starts with something scientists call mobbing. When a crow spots a predator, it doesn't hide, it doesn't freeze, it screams. Within seconds, that single alarm call pulls in every crow within earshot. They gather, dive, and strike again and again, forcing the predator into a gauntlet of noise and beating wings. It isn't a battle of strength, it's a battle of numbers. And numbers, in nature, often win. Owls know this fear better than almost any other bird. Silent hunters, built for the dark, they're nearly helpless in daylight. So when crows find a roosting owl exposed in the open, they don't let it rest. They circle, screech, and dive in relentless waves, sometimes for hours, until the owl is forced to abandon its perch entirely. For an animal built around stealth, there is no greater weakness than being seen. Even eagles, the undisputed rulers of the sky, aren't safe. A single crow could never challenge a golden eagle, but a dozen crows moving as one coordinated unit can turn even the most powerful raptor into a fleeing target. Wildlife photographers have captured this again and again. An eagle several times the crow's size, wings folded, retreating from a storm of smaller birds it could kill in an instant if it ever managed to catch one. But here's where the story stops being about muscle and starts being about something else entirely. Something almost unsettling. In the mid-2000s, researchers at the University of Washington ran an experiment that would change how we understand these birds. Scientists wearing a specific, unusual mask trapped and briefly handled wild crows before releasing them unharmed. From that moment on, something extraordinary happened. Anytime a person wearing that same mask walked anywhere near the crow's territory, the birds would scold, dive bomb, and mob them, sometimes years later. That alone might just sound like memory. But the real twist is what happened next. Crows who had never been trapped, who had never even seen the experiment take place, began mobbing the mask too. Somehow, the danger had spread. Parents seemed to be teaching their young. Neighboring crows appeared to be learning from birds that had witnessed the encounter. A single threatening face was becoming common knowledge across an entire crow community, passed on almost like a warning whispered down a family line. Some of these grudges have been observed lasting more than a decade. A threat identified once by a single bird on a single afternoon can echo through a population for years, carried by crows who were never even born when the danger first appeared. This is not the kind of thing predators are used to encountering. A rabbit that escapes an attack doesn't warn every other rabbit in the forest. A fish that slips away from a hawk's talons has no way of telling the rest of the school what that hawk looked like. But a crow that survives an encounter with a threat can, in a sense, make sure that threat is never forgotten. Not just by itself, by an entire community, potentially for generations. That changes the math of survival. A predator doesn't just have to worry about one crow or one attack or one bad afternoon. It has to worry about being remembered, about becoming a known danger, marked and mobbed, every single time it shows its face again. Ravens, the larger, even more intelligent cousins of crows, take this further still. They've been documented tugging on the tails of feeding wolves to distract them, then darting in to snatch and cache chunks of meat right out from under them, sometimes making off with as much as a third of an entire carcass. In documented cases, ravens appear to deliberately call wolves toward carcasses too tough for a raven's own beak to open, essentially using wolves as tools, then feeding on what the wolves leave behind. It's a level of manipulation researchers once assumed was reserved for primates, or for us. So does an apex predator truly fear a crow, the way a mouse fears a hawk? Probably not in the raw, instinctive sense we usually mean by that word. It's something quieter and, in some ways, more sophisticated. It's caution born from memory, avoidance shaped by reputation, a wariness that has to be earned through experience, not hardwired by instinct alone. And that might be the most unsettling part of all. For most of evolutionary history, survival belonged to whoever had the sharpest claws or the strongest jaw. But somewhere in the story of the crow, a different kind of power emerged. Not size, not speed, not strength. Memory. Shared and passed forward, turning a single bad encounter into a lesson an entire species could carry for a lifetime. Maybe that's the real reason predators learn to watch the sky a little more carefully when the crows start calling, not because the crow is dangerous on its own, but because somewhere in that black watching eye there might already be a memory of you.